People would actually like to hear like what actually made you become a personal trainer today.
Okay, so I'll go through it again.
Yeah.
I'll try to keep it a little bit more succinct at this time because I think I definitely started rambling. But anyway,
it was a good ramble, but
thank you. Yeah, it was. Sadly, we didn't have that content.
I know.
No, we'll go through it again. So essentially, people that do know my story, people that are close to me and stuff, they all know kind of that I was very quiet. Not a quiet person, but I was very reserved, I had social anxiety and depression in my teen years, going into like 18, 19 years old. Anyway, there was a flick of the switch moment at one time where I just realized something needs to be done regarding that, because I couldn't go into social settings and stuff and have conversation, because I always felt like I would be judged for what I said, or maybe what I said isn't funny, or people think I was stupid for my, whatever I was saying. And there were times where, for example, we'd be in a group setting, me and my friends, and I would say something that I thought was like funny, like I'd make a joke, and no one would laugh, and then someone would say the same thing like a minute later, and everyone would laugh, and I'm like, bro, what the fuck's going on here? Like, this is so dog.
Outcast feeling.
Yeah, but it would probably come down to a little bit, I just didn't say it enough, so people didn't hear me, things like that. Just because I always was aware, so like, what's the word? Overanalyzing everything that I would do.
Like overthinking. Sort of.
And that's essentially where it comes down to social anxiety. It comes down to overthinking a lot, to the point where it kind of just cripples you. So there were environments and instances where I would be one-on-one with people, or like in a group setting, and I just wouldn't know what to say, and I would just literally choke up. I actually wouldn't speak.
Just pure silence.
There are a few moments that I recall where I genuinely, like, I just couldn't. I can't explain it to people unless you know.
Yeah.
But I just couldn't speak. Like there was something heavy sitting on my chest every time I tried to. Anyway, so something had to be done. I realized I wasn't happy with how I looked. Girls wouldn't give me the time of day. That's probably where a lot of this stemmed from as well. Yep. I think my upbringing as well. My parents, I don't really remember them having genuine conversation. They're probably going to watch this, but they already know this anyway. I love them both. Yeah. It was just a situation that I was brought up in. Yeah, so a lot of that had to probably do with me not being able to speak. So, and I wasn't happy with myself, how I looked. I was 60 kilos, 18 years old, 5'11", 3/4.
Just finished school.
Yeah, just finished school.
You have the photos on Instagram, right?
Yeah, I have the photos on Instagram. Everyone's probably seen that.
Yeah.
And so I started going to the gym after school finished. And so I just started going, just as everyone else did, pretty much, to go get girls, to have a little bit more confidence, things like that. And I just kept doing it. And I started to see the progress and everything like that. And I noticed that my social anxiety wasn't as strong. It wasn't just down to that, but I was a big proponent for me kind of overcoming it. It never really goes away. Like there's instances these days where I'll be in like a big crowd full of people. Like I went to Coldplay. I took my girlfriend to Coldplay for her birthday. And because there's like, tens of thousands of people, I just kind of shut down a little bit. I just go quiet.
Looking over your
I'll
shoulder.
talk to my girlfriend. There's just a lot going around me.
Yeah.
I don't know why. That's just how I am. Anyway, so I was talking to my girlfriend, but I'd just be a little bit reserved up until we get to inside the place and everything's, kind of going. They're playing music and stuff. Then I can kind of be myself.
Yeah.
Anyway. So that's pretty much why I started training and everything like that. I was studying electrical engineering at the time, out of university, and I kind of went in and out. I would defer and then go back to uni, and I deferred again for a year, worked full time to start making a little bit of money, and then went back to uni, and I realized that I wasn't really enjoying it anymore. I was still enjoying training. I loved what it did for me. A lot of self-reflection that encompassed as well through those 3-4 years from the time that I started to about this period of time. It was probably around 21, 22, I think. Just trying to better myself. And so essentially, there was this one time I was having a shower, and I think it was just after a day of doing a whole heap of study. And I realized that I was not enjoying what I was doing. I wasn't enjoying the studying part of it. I wasn't being able to make friends because I actually made a few, but in a lot of the classes, a lot of the people that were in there just didn't really want to talk and try and make friends. Whereas like if you do like a business course or something, I know
Everyone wants
It's
to be
like
friends.
networking.
yeah, 100%. If you do a business course, everyone's going for beers after
Yeah.
class,
Yeah.
you know. Whereas I was in this course and I couldn't really connect with anyone. I would try and talk to people and try and make friends, but they just didn't have it.
Their own
Probably the
bubble.
demographic, right?
I think so as well.
We won't get racist or anything.
No, no.
Won't cross any line.
There were definitely a lot of international students in there, but even some of the other people that were just from here and stuff. Whether it was a social thing, because electrical engineering is you have to be pretty intelligent to do it.
And pretty straight as well.
Yeah, and like not have anything else to do with your time, which is fine. Like if they enjoy it, obviously. But
That's their thing.
that's
Obviously.
their thing.
But your thing was training, and,
and
you
I was
started realizing
enjoying
that.
training, yeah.
Yeah.
And so I was in the shower and I was like, I really want to do something to, that I'm going to enjoy, but something that's going to be fulfilling. I realized that obviously training and stuff helped me get out of those dark periods,
It
where
was a passion of yours.
it was a passion of mine. I noticed how that made me a better person.
Yeah.
It was impacting my life in only positive ways. And I wanted to be able to help people get to that point as well, with whatever the shit they're going through. If they feel, bad about themselves because they just don't have
That confidence or whatever.
the
it is.
confidence, their mental health isn't well. I wanted to kind of get into that realm and help people make the change like I did.
Yep.
And so I don't know if it was that day exactly or it was around that point of time where I was just like, told my parents, I'm like, I'm dropping out of uni.
Yeah.
I want to do this. And they were telling me, oh,
Big move.
yeah, of course, Greek family,
Vlogs.
Yeah, there's no chance they will allow that to
You
happen.
stay in school, mate.
Yeah. I didn't. I was the little black sheep, I think. Essentially, I dropped that bomb on them. They're like, no, you can't do that. You got to get a proper job. PT and stuff is only a side gig. I never met anyone that did like full-time PT. It's not a real job.
So you were going through all this by yourself.
Yeah.
In your head.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
thoughts on
Having
thoughts on
these
thoughts.
shower
Yeah.
thoughts.
I had no one really to back me.
Yeah.
It was just myself. I had, family, didn't really understand it. I had not many friends at that point, but even then they didn't really get it because they were all like kind of, go uni, make money, get a girlfriend, buy a house, have kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. The generic
the-
timeline of life.
Exactly right.
Yeah. Well, the average.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm not a very linear person. I'm kind of all very sporadic, all over the place. Anyway, and I like things that challenge me too. If things get very
Mundane.
linear and mundane, I lose interest so quickly.
Yeah.
And you deferred a few times.
Yeah,
at your time.
that's why. And I enjoyed maths. I loved science. I loved maths. I loved physics, chemistry. So I
Numbers,
loved all those things. Except it just wasn't like
Aligning
It wasn't.
with-
It wasn't aligning with what I kind of where I wanted to go.
It was like you doing uni and you
Yeah.
doing personal training. They could never meet at any point.
no.
There were two different roads.
No, I figured that maybe if I went and did like sports science or something, then at least I have some sort of
Would make
credible
more
degree.
sense.
Degree, sorry, yeah, it would make more sense because at least it's kind of down the same path. But then I realized, did some study, did some research, and realized that that's not really going to benefit me anymore.
Yeah.
And everything that I was learning was all on the internet. And it took me years, obviously, deciphering what was right, what was wrong. These days, you have a lot more information that's correct. Even back then, which was like not that long ago, 2018, 2019, when I realized, I want to get into it. Even back then, there was so much misinformation still.
Yeah.
So nowadays, it's a lot easier to even learn more. But I'm kind of at that point where I've passed that now. Anyway, and so I just fucking backed myself and I just went for it. Everyone kind of doubted me, typical story, sob story. Everyone doubted me. No one believed in me. I had a few people. I know my parents, kind of believed in me, but they were also fearful that like, what the hell is this guy doing with his life?
Yeah.
Dropping out of uni, doing something completely different.
What was a worry for them?
Yeah.
Because like electrical engineering is here.
Yes.
They didn't see PT on the same level.
Yes.
So like he has
Exactly
to work really
right.
hard to get there.
Yes.
And you are, and you're showing that right now.
Yeah, 100%. Anyway, they tell me they're proud of me now, and obviously.
Yeah.
Even with the posts?
even with the posts.
The Moe Don't Worry posts.
Surprisingly, yeah. I wonder sometimes if they look at my stuff and they're like, what the fuck is this? How's this guy make money?
Imagine you got home one day or you saw them out. And they're like, Moe, don't worry, what's going on? You'd
I've
wig out,
in my DMs, bro. They're calling me Moe now, you know? I'm like, fuck, I've got to fall into
I've
the
got to
trend
hold
now.
into this now.
Yeah, I've got to lean into it a little bit.